separate one?
It's about to start off at 2018.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday, May the 11th, 2021, 10 a.m. meeting. Would Mr. Lee Falk lead us in the pledge, and Mr. Thomas McDaniel, prayer, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Okay. First thing is a presentation of the LWI Region 4 Provisional Governance Recommendation by Edward Anthony and Stephanie Bowe. Ms. Carabeth is going to take over.
Yeah, they were supposed to be here this morning to give this presentation in person, but with the weather, they weren't able to make it, so we're going to make things happen with the resources we have this morning. And so I'm calling in on my cell phone, and we're sharing the slides for the public to view, and also we have the copy of the slides in front of you. So this is pertaining to the Louisiana Watershed Initiative, which is Region 4. So remember, the parish is in 2 regions, 4 and 5, but the recommendations that Mr. Anthony, who is the coordinator steering this initiative, is for Region 4. So I'll turn it over to them.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much, Kara, for that introduction, and thank you, Canberra Parish, for allowing us some time on your agenda to present our findings and our work so far. So, as stated, we are the watershed coordinators for Louisiana Region 4. I am Edward Anthony, and my team member Stephanie Bowe is also on the line. And we are here to talk about the provisional governance recommendation, which will be going before the state to be initiated in the June meeting. We are here for your feedback and any other comments that you have on LWI and more specifically what we're doing in Region 4. So our agenda, we're going to go pretty quick. Within 5 minutes or so, we're going to talk about a quick overview for those that don't know about LWI. We're going to also move towards discussion on regional watershed management, and again, get that feedback and have an open discussion on what we presented so far. Next slide. So, an overview of LWI. LWI was formed to manage Louisiana's future flood risk. This initiative was started and sparked was what we're calling now the Great Flood of 2016. We're working as a collective body with the 8 regions divided up by watersheds across the state to better manage water in our floodplains across the state. Next slide. So the challenge that we have, if you look at this map, you can see on the lower layer that we have all of these parishes, but as you can see, those are highlighted in shades of green and blue. Those are our watersheds, and our watersheds do not acquiesce or do not follow our parish boundaries. So we need to know that flooding does not follow those boundaries as well. So the actions that one community takes can impact those beneath them, and great actions of those in a northern portion of the watershed can impact those in the southern portion as well. Next slide. So the opportunity that we have is we want to fundamentally change how we view water, how we view reducing our flood risk. Next slide. So you saw in that map that we had of Louisiana, the different watersheds, and a watershed can be a combination of multiple water bodies. You can have a large watershed or a small watershed, is being a drainage basin with a common point. Next slide. So to sum up everything we're trying to do, we have this mission statement. We want to reduce flood risk, improve floodplain management throughout the state, and maximize the natural and beneficial functions of floodplains. And this is all to be accomplished with these guiding principles. We want to make sure that you're implementing sound data, scientific approaches into our decision making, and again, maximizing the natural use and function of floodplains where possible. This is all being accomplished, next slide, this is all being accomplished through the Regional Capacity Building Grant Program. That is the funding that was actually mandated to allow us to go out and manage where we are in year one with the Regional Steering Committee. And you'll see more about that in the next slide. Next slide. So the state requested each watershed to form a regional steering committee. We have sitting with Cameron Parish, Mr. Miles Hebert, Ms. Kara Walzall. They've been great working with us so far, and just thank her so much for helping us work through our presentation today. So in the next coming years, and one of the outputs of this provisional governance recommendation will be forming a coalition and managing entities. So that's the main output right now is we want to provide recommendations for that long-term watershed management. So we're developing that framework as we speak. Next slide. So the coordinating agencies, you see the 8 regions that we have, and those are the agents responsible for managing each watershed. Capital Parish took the lead with Region 4, but with everything that you all have been experiencing in 2020 from Hurricane Delta and Laura and winter storms, and it's been a rough couple of months, a year and a half. So they brought us on to actually help with this initiative and provide support and services for the entire region 4. Next slide. This is a snapshot of rainfall in region 4. Just total snowfall, total rainfall ranging up to higher of 20 inches in the darker shades. Next slide. So our regional steering committee, as discussed, we have those 8 regional steering committees, a total of 116 regional steering committee members. And at this point, this number is still growing. We've held over 75 meetings to date. Next slide. So in that draft in our draft recommendation that you have before you, we have it kind of summarized into a one-pager, front and back, but it discusses the what, the who, and the how that we where we are at this current point. So we conducted a root cause analysis for flood risk issues. We've attempted to identify those gaps in existing workflows, consideration of future opportunities, and most importantly, we want to build a consensus around the solutions. So that's what that we hope to facilitate in our meetings and actually build consensus in our decision making as a regional steering. Next slide. So recent activities, we're currently in the outreach and engagement phase. We're going out right now, talking to all the police juries. We'll also be meeting with municipalities throughout Region 4. And we really want to get this governance recommendation in everyone's hands so they can take a look at it and make sure that we hit the mark, because ultimately this is a representation of your region and the stakeholders that actually live in this region. Next slide. So in our provisional governance recommendation, things that we're going to discuss, what are the potential roles and responsibility? How is our regional steering committee going to evolve? What authority will be the authority and composition in this next phase, in this coalition that we're building? How will it be facilitated, and what are the processes that are necessary to be developed to successfully implement any decisions that we make? Next slide. So in Region 4, you can see a snapshot on the provisional regional recommendation slide of what the different regions are doing across the state. In Region 4, we decided to provide a mix of public and private representation. I think we've been doing well with that, and as far as facilitation, It will be facilitated by the Planning and Development District, and Region 4, there will be the Imperial Planning Commission, MCAL. Next slide. So yeah, we started to talk about that on the last slide, but in a nutshell, for planning and development regulation, we want to facilitate a watershed plan that accomplishes the following: to accurately identify flood risks in the region, to identify potential areas for retention, discharge, and preservation, provide guidance and recommendation regarding development best practices, and identify and prioritize potential regional watershed projects. So it was a point of interest in our meetings that we wanted this process to be apolitical. We wanted to take all of the politics out of it and make sound decision making. And this new body is an attempt to serve as a clearinghouse to streamline those efforts. Next slide. So this body also wants the ability to develop a regional pool of funds to implement regional mitigation planning and watershed projects. And as far as data and modeling, you can include local stakeholders where possible. I know in some regions, I think you are a part of Region 5, and I know University of Louisiana Lafayette will be working with the data and modeling in Region 5, and Region 4 where possible. We want to engage stakeholders, and we will be in talks with McNeese to see how we can incorporate them into our process. Next slide. So as far as the planning and development entity that will be managing, MCAL will facilitate those meetings at the direction of the coalition. They'll be responsible for some staffing. And then again, the coalition will be a mix of public and private representatives. Next slide. And this is just reiterating what the coalition wants: the ability to obtain external funding, cooperative grants as part of, as an entity, as a body. So this new coalition wants that ability as part of the recommendation for Region 4. So to summarize everything that we've just said, we want this coalition to be enabled by legislation from under the state agency. It wants to be enabled under a single charter, so everyone won't have an individual charter to do it in one single charter. The boundaries that you saw in the earlier slide of Louisiana divided up by the watersheds and establishing the 8 regions, those were accepted, and we're going to accept those boundaries. And also still have some state oversight in the process, for Region 4. So that's our presentation for today. All of that is pretty much summarized in this one pager, and we're looking for any feedback or where we high marks or where we missed the mark, or any comments that you have on our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Nobody? Thank you,
Kara,
Sarah. Thank you, Mr. Edward.
Stephanie, I'd like to just add to that we have a website that everybody can go and visit that has all of this information and the most up-to-date news and releases. As we're getting them, it's www.lwiregion4.com, and all this information is there.
Okay, we sure appreciate it. We sure thank you, ma'am, Ms. Stephanie and Mr. Edward.
So I just would like to add, on the Regional Steering Committee, the members for Region 4, Miles Abear sits on the Regional Steering Committee for Region 4, and I also sit on the committee as an at-large member. The group had to be diversified, so I'm the female in the pack. So for Region 5, Scooter, Philip Trosclair Scooter, is on Region 5. So you do have some good representation, part of these recommendations. So just wanted to clarify and let y'all know that.
All right, Karen, thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay, next, Ms. Mary, you have an update from the Alderman Society?
Yes, Miss Katie Barnes apologizes for not being able to be here, but she did send an update. She says on Friday, May 7th, Audubon staff and volunteers installed over 1 mile of signage and fencing to protect coastal dunes and nesting birds at Rutherford Beach. Currently, there are 100 of lease terns across the western and eastern stretches of Rutherford Beach, along with dozens of breeding Wilson's plovers. Soon, more common nighthawks will arrive and begin nesting here as well. Audubon plans to continue monitoring and protecting the birds over the course of the spring and summer months, and our technicians Adrian and Shannon are working full-time to ensure bird safety in high-traffic areas. Installing fence along the western side of Rutherford Beach will pose a logistical challenge given limited accessibility and transporting of materials. We ask that the visitors of Rutherford Beach respect areas that are fenced and not fenced, as there are still birds in these areas. Additionally, the dunes need time to heal and recover from the 2020 storms. She said birds are also nesting at Broussard Beach and Holly Beach, and Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries will patrol on busy summer weekends and major holidays to help regulate the state and federal laws that protect migratory nesting species. She said she'd like to bring these concerns to y'all. There's no dune protection or beach rule signage prior to busy weekends, limited enforcement on beaches to regulate existing laws, speed limit of 10 miles an hour, no displays of power, no driving on dunes or vegetation, drinking and operating vehicles, the use of glass bottles, and dumping. She said Audubon will erect fencing in other areas as necessary to protect birds and dunes and will work with local community leaders to protect Cameron beaches. And then on the form that I gave y'all, she has her email. It's katie.barnes@audubon.org. If y'all have any questions or concerns, she said please contact her. And again, she apologizes for not being here.
Was she complaining because there's not signs?
Yes.
Well, I think the beachfront, I think maybe had some before the storm, maybe a few of them
Yeah,
out there.
and the problem is
Actually,
you
too
cannot
late.
get signs
Too late.
right now.
Did she
They-
realize we had 2 major storms? We trying to get our
I
parish back
agree.
up and operate?
I
We're trying to
agree.
get rebuilt ourselves,
You know,
so.
we get to the beach when we can get there, but I want to get our roads and ditches and everything else done, then we worry about that beach.
Yep. So, and we own it. I think Emily and Shane and them have them out there cleaning ditches and stuff out there right now. For
And if you
drainage
can't
and
get
stuff.
signs, there's no, I mean, you can't put them
Yeah,
up if
it's
you
just
don't
hard to
have
get
them. So
signs right
she's
now.
just gonna have to be patient, like a person is that lives here. We have to be patient too.
Yeah.
I'd like to have my house
Is that the
before
way-
signs are on the beach. Just
Is that the
saying.
way- That's fine.
They had the storm on the beach.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, green cords, let's see, we have Center Point, status of rebuilding. We have somebody with Center Point Energy.
Sorry, but
Brittany, that's them.
Y'all can come up. Look, there's a mic right there, y'all.
Yeah, my name is Brad Coppage. We're with Center Point Energy. This is Brittany Welch, and this is Blaine Spell. Currently, right now, obviously, you guys know we lost our entire system from the storm. So we obviously had to get engineering resources to design it, pipe ordered, and so we're really close to putting pipe in. You guys should see our crews out there. In the meantime, we do have temporary service available for anybody who wants it that was on our existing system. So, you know, Brittany is our marketing consultant. She has been in contact with some of these. You guys, you know, see those temporary trailers sitting outside on the property lines next to the meters. So a lot of our customers who are on those has really appreciated those. So we are offering those to anybody who needs it. So in the meantime, we're working to put the pipe back in. So I don't know if there's any other.
Yeah, just real quick, you know, our existing system, or the system that was here, started about a mile east of Creole and ran all the way basically to the courthouse. We are going to replace it. It's a little over 20 miles of pipe, so construction should begin within the next month or so. So we will be seeing progress in the near future.
They're gonna put all new pipe?
Yes, sir, we are putting all new pipe.
Good deal.
And we're
We appreciate it, I tell you.
We're going to raise our stations where the gas comes from the pipeline. We're going to raise them 12 foot off the ground. So we're going to do a lot of hardening to the system. So hopefully in the future, if this ever happens again, that we'll be able to sustain it a little better. So we are taking steps. This time, those of y'all that remember Rita, and I'm sure everybody in here remembers Rita, we were without gas down here for about 6 months. until we restore the system. Well, this go around, we're just replacing the whole system.
That sounds good, and we sure do appreciate it, I tell you. Thank y'all for coming back.
Yes, sir.
The timeline's about a year.
Yes, it should be about a year. Now, what we're gonna do is we'll start in town here. That's the plan right now. In the areas where we have trailers that are in close proximity, we're gonna replace all the system, take the small trailers out, and we'll bring in a bigger trailer to put put gas on the entire system. And then we'll move down the line as we go, putting pipe in the ground.
Can you tell them about the improvement in the pipe y'all are putting?
Yes, we're replacing, the majority of the system, the old system was steel pipe that was put in the 50s. We're putting an all plastic system in the ground, so that will obviously reduce corrosion. There will be no corrosion on it. However, if there's ever any instances where we do get contaminants in the line in the future, it'll be easy to work with to remove those contaminants out of there from water, just like this time. So we are taking steps. If something happens in the future, that we'll be able to mitigate it hopefully quicker.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add, if anyone is interested in the meantime in the temporary services or looking to install a new service to your home, you can call our call center. It would be the 800 number, or apply for it on the website, and then we'll send a case to me, and then I'll get in contact with everyone from there.
We sure thank y'all. Anybody have any questions? We sure thank y'all. We appreciate y'all coming back to Cameron.
We appreciate it. You know, we've been a part of the community for many, many years, and we continue to still want to be here, and we'll continue to be here. So thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
And President Scott, it is about a $2 million investment, just to put things in perspective. That's what they're coming back and investing in Cameron Parish. So
$2 million to run them lines?
that's the budget.
Well, and we appreciate it, then. We sure do. A lot of us are still down here, so
Yes.
we do appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned that the Oak Grove and Grand Chenier systems are on right now. So
Yeah, and I can mention that. Oak Grove and Grand Chenier, we got those up rather quickly after the two storms, so those are both back up and operating at this time. So if there's any needs down there, you know, we lost service there for a little while, but we got those up in sharp order.
Good. Good. Thank y'all again. Well, we appreciate it.
Yep, thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Okay, next, Royal with Jeff Davis Electric. Mr. Mike, and,
Do y'all want to stand on this side next to
Yes, please.
They can provide my chair. You can sit here. Mr. Mike, you can sit here. I'll give you my chair.
They can have one too. Yeah, and authority to advertise for reviews.
Hey everyone, how are y'all? Mike Ryan, General Manager for Jeff Davis Electric. Some of you I know, some I don't. We're going to get to know each other a lot better than what we're getting ready to do. Thank you for letting me be here. Just a note to Centerpoint, they can go all electric if they want. Going back to my marketing days. Don't worry, we got it covered. Eric Gotro, please stand there. Eric is with me from Jeff Davis Electric Co-op. Everybody turn around and stare at him, make them uncomfortable. That'd be good. And all of my friends from Royal, of which y'all know, y'all dealt with Royal for many years before these storms, and we hired them right before the storm Laura hit, and saying we needed your help, and we're going to do some good things. So we have with me, let's see, Mike Hughes here, Mitch Andrus. I'm reading from the list here. Michael Doris is here, Bo Tate, and most importantly is the one who does all the work is Christy. So thank you, Christy. Appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about the future of Jeff Davis and what we plan on doing, going down to Cameron Parish, and what we plan on doing. So, as you can tell, this is our system, all the way from Coshada Tribe in Elton, goes all the way down, and you can see all the 5 parishes, Calcasieu, Cameron, Jeff Davis, Allen, and Vermilion. We serve all those areas, all the way to the Texas line. We do that with 50 employees, and that's inside employees, outside employees, everybody, which is damn amazing to me how we are capable of doing that. But when Hurricane Laura hit, we had over 800 linemen plus came down from all across the United States. I don't know if you know about electric co-ops, but we have mutual aid agreements with all co-ops. There's about 1,000 co-ops across the United States. When there is an event like this, we contract or ask for help from all of our fellow co-ops, and they send them from all over the place. We had people from Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina. Y'all seen them, they were all here taking pictures of the alligators and doing everything as they're trying to work. So, and which, amazingly enough, even after Rita, we had some linemen that worked for Rita. They would take their vacations and come down and see how the place was doing. So not only are they seeing and working here, but they take a vested interest in what's going on here. So very proud of all of the rural people that came and helped us, all the rural co-ops. Like I say, we have 5 parishes area, and we had about 11,000 customers. We have about 9 now. So we're down some, and it's going to stay down for a little while until we can get people back in the area, and that's what we're trying to do. 60% of the power to our commercial and industrial providers is what we have. Most co-ops are 95% residential. We're actually 60-40, 60% commercial and industrial, 40% residential, and it has a lot to do with Cameron. So that's why we want to do a good job when we come back to Cameron Parish and make a very hardened, resilient system that is not only going to serve what you have here, but serve all the future needs as well. And that's our plans. Now, as you're well aware, we had the storms of 2020. Laura came through. They said it was a 4, but I'm calling it a 5. Doggone, it was terrible. And it was the worst disaster I've ever seen since I've been in the co-op for 35 years. Y'all know, y'all live here. A couple weeks into that, as we're trying to get our stuff together, along came Beta and said, well, it's going to be scooting across. So what do we have to do? All the tent city that we had at the Chenault Airport had to come down. We shipped all of our guys to, where the heck did we send them that time?
Cajun Dome.
Cajun Dome. We sent them to the Cajun Dome in Lafayette for 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was, then had to come get them back and try and get them started again. So, okay, that took a while. Next thing you know, here comes Delta. Well, yeah, bring it on. Well, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah, so they brought it on, and there it was. Delta came through and hit us for another loop. Had to take the tent city down one more time, put it back up, and it was just a challenge. As y'all know, it's a challenge. We stayed in tent city, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week, from August 27th to December the 20th, trying to get everything back to where every meter that can take power had power. And that's where we're at now. Every meter that can take power had power. We're still working on adding meters as people are available or ready for power. So that's what we're doing. So next slide. Everybody don't want to see that anymore, that's for sure. A damage map that we have. For Laura, damage percentage in the red, 96 to 100% damaged, where you see red. Where you see the yellow color, it is 91 to 95%. 81 to 90 is the lighter color, and the little greenish color is 75 to 80%. You can pretty much say for both Laura and Delta, we were on 100% down both times. We didn't have as much backup after Delta came along because it was only a few weeks, but we were 100% down both times, trying to get back to where we needed to be. Next slide, please. And then Delta, same thing, next slide. Transmission lines, of which we had coming down to Cameron. We had a 138 line and we have a 69 loop, which we'll have some maps for. That was 100% down. We had no transmission lines coming down to this area. And even to this day, anything below Intercoastal Waterway is not on grid power. It's all on generator power, as you know. Generator in Johnson Bayou, generator here at the Fulton substation, a generator at Michigan, Wisconsin substation, and a generator at Grand Chenier substation. They're still on generator power. We did that for several reasons. If we keep doing the same thing we keep doing, we'll keep getting the same results. We don't want to do that anymore. We experienced it with Rita. We experienced it with Laura and Delta. Let's try and give Cameron what it deserves, and that's a resilient, very hardened, very good system come down, which I'll get into later. So that's why you don't see the wood poles coming down the line trying to do the same thing. We're trying to do something different. But the history of it, we had the 100% of the transmission towers went down as well. 138 towers and the 69 kV towers over the Intercoastal Waterway were all flat on the ground. That never happened before. The 69 towers were built in '57 and the 138 towers built in the '70s, the big steel structures. All of those are on the ground, and they're saying it's well over a year before you can get materials to get any of that done. So let's try something different. Let's try to go underground. Let's try to go underneath the Intercoastal Waterway. That's another thing that we're trying to look at and doing. But you'd be amazed how many people get involved when you say you want to go underground. When you have to have government involvement, EPA being one of them, and just go on down the line. There's a whole list of people that want to have their input when you do those kinds of things. Distribution, 90% was on the ground. Substations, 13 of 18. Switching stations, all of them are on the ground. Delta wasn't too much better, to be honest with you. So 2 big strikes that came against us during this past hurricane season, of which I think they canceled hurricane season in 2021, so we're not going to have hurricane season this year. It's just finished with. We're not doing it. Go ahead. So the damage. Was that, Bo? You agree with me? We're canceling it? I don't blame you. Some of the damage, you can see in the substations, they took a big hit. This is the 69 tower that's laying on the ground. Infrastructure, road infrastructure is breached through. It was just terrible. Some of our restoration efforts and power grid restoration and putting what we did, what we have now, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go into what we're gonna do in just a minute. Mobile subs, it's the first time we ever did that. It's the first time the industry ever did that. I got some information from powers that be at the investor owns that own the transmission lines that come down to here, and even some stations up north that are above Intercoastal Waterway, and they're saying, we don't really know when we're gonna get transmission power back to you. They tell us a date, then they move the date, then they move the date. And then it got so to where we were actually ready at those distribution substations with all the distribution going to all the houses that could take power, they were ready. But we were still 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks out from getting power from transmission lines. So we moved in mobile substations north of Intercoastal Waterway and some of those places up there. It worked well. So we just kept moving them south as we needed them. And then once we got to Intercoastal, let's put mobile substations down here and see if we can get a better system for Cameron Parish. So that's what we did. And they are working well. They don't like lightning very much, but they do work well other than that. And I'm getting ready to turn it over to Mitch, wherever Mitch is, so he can go over the plans of what we're planning on doing and where we're going to be. But before I do that, Mitch, I just want to say thank you to each one of you for all your support for Jeff Davis Electric Co-op. Believe me, we're here for you, and we're going to continue to do everything we can. Mitch, you can come on up. I'm going to stand right here because you know me, I got to interject every once in a while. Just to say.
Good morning, gentlemen. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you today. As Mr. Mike said, we're assisting the co-op in coming back bigger and better, mostly in Cameron Parish. We are doing some things for the distribution system that are up in the northern reaches of the service area, like Jeff Davis, like Calcasieu, like Vermilion, but most of the resilience, hardening, and redundancy efforts are going to take place in Cameron Parish, and most of that is underway, under planning, design, and we have a couple of options on the table from a grant perspective. And if I'll just take a step back and explain the difference between an investor-owned and a co-op, and Mr. Mike could probably do it better than I can. But from a granting perspective, a co-op is eligible through the Stafford Act, as the parishes and municipalities for FEMA funds for reimbursement to replace what was lost. Investor-owned utility companies like Entergy and Clico are not. Hence, we were hired to assist in that process, and along the way, what we thought was going to be just a replacement, like after Rita, The fact that the towers across the intercoastal went down was an eye-opener, not only for the co-op and for us, but when they sent the Department of Energy down to work side by side and hand in hand with FEMA and with the state and with the co-op to say, hey, we don't want to keep doing this every 15 years. The storms are getting worse, the Gulf's getting hotter, more and more frequency, more and more storm surge. We recommend that you work with FEMA to build a more resilient system. And so that's the next step up, a hardened system. But they even went a step further, and that's why you see 3 options on the table here. Because you have so much industry, that is the livelihood of Cameron Parish, the livelihood of energy production, and the livelihood of the co-op, and to a big extent to not only the state but the country as well, because a lot of this energy is exported. It's for the interest of the greater good. They recommended that and instead of just being more resilient, they recommended upgrades as well. So the 3 options that you see here is, number 1 is repair existing infrastructure. That's what we talked about. We were along the path of, hey, just replacing everything. When DOE came down and saw that the expense we'd have to go through to go across the intracoastal and the amount of the devastation and what we call severe repetitive loss with Rita, Ike, then Laura and Delta, that's 4 storms. If you add up the cost of replacing this across all 4 storms, they're telling us, and we had to, I got Bo here, he's been working with the engineers to do cost estimates, but if you come back with steel poles, elevated substations, and even an upgraded voltage, all of that costs less than repairing it 4 times. So you got your federal government actually recommending something that makes sense for a change. So alternative number 2 is the 69 and 138 resiliency plan. That's basically going back in the same footprint with the same transmission voltage that Mr. Mike and his employees have been maintaining for many, many years, just with steel poles. We actually looked at concrete as well, but steel poles were easier to manage, and the lifespan of those were comparable. So we are recommending steel. The spans on those are much longer. They may be 300 feet apart instead of 50 feet apart. So the footprint from an environmental perspective is actually less, even though it might cost more to put up and a little more to maintain. Environmental footprint is less and the reliability is much, much greater. The alternative number 3 is what we talked about, is a 230 kV. We're calling it not only resilient, but a redundant plan as well. So Mr. Mike had a Electricity 101 that educated us civil engineers and grant administrators to kind of give us a crash course in electricity so we could understand from a grant perspective how to present this to the state and to FEMA. And what the biggest takeaway that I got is that physically there is a loop in Cameron Parish from Holly Beach all the way down to the coast. Hackberry, I'm sorry. 8 H's, I got mixed up. But so Hackberry all the way down to Holly Beach, under the Calcasieu Ship Channel, up back all the way up to up the east side, Highway 27, back up to Calcasieu. So physically, the loop is there, but you don't have enough voltage. If you have an outage in Creole, you have to fix that before you can get power back to that area. Instead of bypassing it, 69 you just can't get all the way around the loop. There's just not enough electricity to get you there. 230, however, if you have that much voltage and that bigger infrastructure, you could power all the way back up to the other side on the east side with 230. Am I saying that correctly?
That's absolutely correct with me. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So in a perfect world, we want option number 3, but there's hurdles we got to go through from a state and federal funding perspective. So FEMA will pay for option number 1, and they'll pay for option number 2, but they won't pay for option number 3. So we've got to go find another bucket of money, and that's called 404 funds with the state, and that the governor's office has to allocate that. We're working with the governor's office right now to get that final pot in place, and that's why you don't see anything happening. We're still on generators, we're still using the wood poles, but we are working behind the scenes feverishly to get these grants in place while we have the opportunity.
We're not only talking about the transmission lines hardening, we're talking about the substations being elevated to whatever floodplain plus.
It's different for every substation. You guys know this. You have a different base flood elevation for every geographic location. So some of them might need to be 10 feet high. Some of them might need to be 12 feet high. Depends where you're at.
The point being is to get them out of the way of the water when it comes in, so we don't have to continually keep doing this as we've done before. And with Royal's help and the planning that's gone with them, I'm always of the one that let's get power back as fast as possible. And they said, do you want to keep doing this for the rest of your life? I said, no, I'm retiring because I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life, I'm telling you. And they said, no, not just you, everybody. I said, sounds like a good idea. They came up with, let's see what we can do. And let's see if we can get not only a resilient, but a redundancy plan with the 230. Not only is the 230 going to help Cameron, the future growth of Cameron, the LNG facilities that I know are coming and will continue to come. This can be the LNG capital of the world, in my opinion. All the ancillary services of all those companies. Port Louisiana, it's going to be coming. We're going to do a system that can support all of that, and without having to beg, borrow, and steal to try and do it. So we're very excited about this opportunity and what it's going to bring to Cameron Parish and to Jeff Davis Electric Co-op.
And with the 69 kV, correct me if I'm wrong, that's not necessarily possible.
It is entirely impossible. Some of the things that they want to do, you can't do with the 69 kV line. You have to have a higher voltage to be able to do some of the things that one of the companies want to do, and connect to a strong grid to do that. This will provide that. This will be able to do it that way. So, yes. Go ahead, Nick.
So I kind of talked off the cuff there, but we have a couple of slides that show you the components. I'm not including alternative number 1 because you all know what it looks like. So alternative number 2 has 8 different components to it, plus the elevating and hardening of the substations. So 69 kV transmission from Chalkley to Manchester. That's this first stretch here.
They're used to the co-op. We ain't fancy. We don't have to touch anything.
Sorry.
All right, we're back. Same thing from Manchester to Gibbstown. And then at Gibbstown, we have to go underground. So we don't have the same thing. So the towers that went down had been there for 70 years. They were designed and built in 1958. This is the first time in history that they went down. But again, a storm of this strength, they keep strengthening, they keep coming more frequently. It was recommended that we go back more resilient. We've been working with the Corps of Engineers to get a permit to go underneath intracoastal at that location. And we may have to do it, with this plan, you got to do it twice because you got 2 transmission lines. You've got the 69 kV and the 138, so you got to do it in two locations. Transmission to Gibbstown, from Gibbstown to Oak Grove and to Cameron Y. Same thing on the west side, and then the last step would be transmission along the coast and elevating of the of the substations. So the plan that we want to do, if we can get commitment from the state and work it out with the powers that be at FEMA as well, and get those 2 entities working together, is the 230 resiliency and redundancy plan. Many of the components are the same, with the exception of we actually have to replace the line underneath the Calcasieu ship channel as well. Because right now, even though it didn't get damaged by the storm, it is only a 69 kV voltage. So we got to upgrade that. And then the only other difference here would be the substations. With the other plan, we're elevating just the substations on the coast. We're not elevating some of the substations up north, but we do have to convert them from 69 kV to 230. And that will make it more redundant with that whole loop concept that we talked about.
Obviously, a 230 has to connect to a 230. So they have a 230 in Hackberry that we can connect to. They have a 230 south of Lake Charles that we can connect to. So you have a availability to feed either way if something should happen for that 230 system. So that's redundant, and that's what most companies are looking for, a redundancy, not just a single radio feed. They want a loop feed. This will be a loop feed.
And in the substations, you will be able to take electricity from either direction. So you're not just relying on coming from the east side or the west side. If you got a portion of the system that goes down, you can go around it and not have any downtime. And that's what the LNG facilities and other industry, quite honestly, are looking for, that redundancy and reliability too. So last slide is the 6 categories we are using to sell this with all the state and federal entities. Improve resiliency and redundancy, we talked about that. Mitigate severe repetitive loss, the 4 storms we talked about. It being cheaper to do it this way instead of to keep doing it the same way over and over. In the long run, reduced environmental impacts. You can't imagine the hoops we have to jump through from an environmental perspective. So just to give you an example, I've been doing environmental work for the last 22 years. I've never got a fast-tracked federal coastal use permit. We got one on this one. It's called an emergency use authorization. But FEMA said, even though you have that, you still have to check the boxes with us. So we're still working through that process 9 months later, even though the Corps says green light, you can do all the documentation after you do the construction. FEMA is saying, no, we want you to check some of those boxes ahead of time. So it's a pretty bureaucratic thing, but at the same time, we feel like the 230 plan is actually going to be a reduced footprint. You have 1 transmission line instead of 2. You don't have 69 and 138. You got 1, and they're farther apart. So we feel like they're gonna be favorable to that. Future cost savings, your maintenance. Obviously, again, if you got to replace it every time a storm comes, it costs more now to build it. But in the future, if this thing lasts 50 years, you save a lot of money. And then increase safety, because vehicles traveling down the road have many less poles that they can hit, right? And again, that is what we're using to sell this to the people that are providing the money to help rebuild this and have skin in the game. So.
And we are eligible for FEMA funds, as Mitch said, because of the Stafford Act, and just as any parish and city of Lake Charles, all the government agencies are available, have eligibility for FEMA. So do we. So I don't want to bash FEMA at all. We would not be here if it weren't for them. But they have certain requirements and certain things that you have to do that tends to slow us down. So we are on generators. Anything below intercoastal is on generators. And it doesn't look like we're going to be off of those generators for quite a while, simply for the fact is I want a hardened, resilient, better system than what was here before. So we'd be better able to serve you when any storm comes through and be able to come right back without all of this having to take place again.
Well, we need that at number 3.
Yes.
So whatever we can do as a jury, if y'all need some whatever kind of letters or whatever connections we can do to try to help, because 3 is the way to go.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's.
Along with that, Royal, Ford, Jeff Davis, they've done a tremendous job, as y'all know they do, getting with the governor's office and getting the different pots of money that we're going to need to do this. We're in the final stages of getting the approvals to do all of these things to get it done. And I'll ask for another thing. I know Sonny wants to say something. So,
the only question I got, are you getting the support from the state that you need?
To date, we are. Yes, but the reason why we're here is number one, to inform you, but as Scott was saying, we may need your support at some point because
We can do
they
resolution
need
support.
community buy-in and will along the way, even after they approve the money, they want to see community support.
We
So
need
if
this
we,
top
if we
resolution.
do travel to Baton Rouge or anywhere, and I'll be letting y'all know if we need some people we need to talk to, whoever we need to talk with. to get this done.
We'll be at the Police Jury Convention this weekend, we can stress it to them too.
Please do, please do.
And if we need a resolution, let's do it now, not wait until we actually need it, let's get it ahead of the game.
The other thing that we're looking for at Jeff Davis Electric Co-op, the Stafford Act, any money that we get from FEMA just doesn't give you the money. You have to go borrow. And then they'll reimburse you, as you know. Well, they don't reimburse interest costs. The interest cost on all the money that we're borrowing is a tremendous amount of money. And they have a bill going through the U.S. Congress right now that's trying to get interest eligible for FEMA funds. To do that. I need your support on that. Any way you can call or talk to anybody you can to try and get that bill passed through. Make sure they do retroactively as well. Don't start from here going forward, because that does us no good if that happens. We need,
We can get a resolution done today, I guess.
If we get a resolution, can we get you guys to work with us on the wording of that so we get it like it needs to be?
absolutely.
Sure.
We
So
can
do
get
you
it for the
guys
meeting.
want to vote on this today? You want us to
You want
add
to do it as
Yep.
an add-on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Put it on
Yes,
add
ma'am.
on.
Resolution of support.
We want to have it in hand in Baton Rouge.
One thing I like to say, Mr. Mike, being you brought up about y'all wouldn't be here without FEMA, is, you know, a lot of times I'm in discussions, whether at work or in the public, and people run FEMA down, and I tell them, so look, man, y'all wouldn't believe how many millions and millions of dollars it costs for all the power grid, the gas grid, the schools,
I don't
public
think
buildings.
Central is eligible, or y'all for this?
You know, well, I don't know about them or not, but I mean, anything like,
Yeah.
you know, critical infrastructure and stuff, we wouldn't be down here without
You're correct.
the help of that.
It's easy to jump on ship and bash the hell out of them, but let's go ahead and face it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, because Rita would have done us in.
We probably wouldn't be here either.
So, I'll give credit where credit's due. Thank y'all for your time.
So we'll do that, if y'all wanna get with, after this meeting, I guess, with Katie and them, and
Yes.
we'll come up with a resolution and.
Sounds good.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Okay, Ms. Stephanie Rodriguez, on behalf of the Cameron Lions Club.
Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Just to give a little historical perspective of where the Cameron Lions Club has been and what we're going to present today. We're absolutely grateful for the many donors that contributed in so many ways since Hurricanes Laura and Delta made landfall in Cameron Parish. The Lions Club was able to take both financial and in-kind donations. Just passed through this past April 30th, we funded the restrooms, the portable restrooms at Holly Beach, the tent in Creole. We've ordered several deliveries of bottled water to all of the schools. We provided some of the fuel for generators in Grand Lake. We subsidized multiple distributions for the Grand Lake, Big Lake, and Sweet Lake areas. And that just names a few things. Not with us today are our Lions Club Vice President, State Representative Ryan Boryak, and our District Attorney Tom Barrett. They created a small committee after the emergency needs began to die down to think of what could the Lions Club do to contribute to long-term recovery. And utilizing the format that Cameron LNG partnered with the Alliance on the small business grants, some of which were awarded to Cameron Parish small businesses. Their idea was to create a similar program, but one that would assist small businesses and assist the residents who were returning to make their homes permanent again in Cameron Parish. And so that, the first idea, and through Venture, we had a introduction to a possibility of working with Steins in Lake Charles to assist us financially. In the meantime, our very own parish administrator, Ms. Katie Armentar, came up with the idea of a long-term recovery group for the entire parish. And her ideas were very similar. And I think, you know, we all agreed that the very simple process that Cameron LNG used was very effective, and we thought we could do the same. So the Cameron Lions Club met and decided that we would inject our donated funds into the long-term recovery group, and that's the one that you're providing clerical assistance for, employee time, and resources. So we decided that the best group of funds that we could bring to the table were from our LNG partners and their vendors. And I wanted you to have a copy of the check that we're going to present, because the funds come from Venture Global LNG, Kiewit, Cameron LNG, Semper Energy, Weeks Marine, GE Oil and Gas, Baker Hughes, TC Energy, Commonwealth LNG, Blue Water Constructors, and Emerson Isolation Valves. So those are the monies that we put together. Those companies were passionate about Cameron Parish getting back on their feet. I don't think that residents and small businesses would be where they were today if not for the hands-on that was provided. Mr. Stevie Trahan's usually here. He couldn't be here. State Representative Boryak's usually here, could not be here today. But Brian Gaskell, and maybe he left, but Brian was here with Kiewit, and I just wanted to acknowledge those. But please know that the funds come from all of the companies that are on the check. And just until the new long-term recovery group can obtain their own 501c3, the Cameron Lions Club will serve as the fiscal agent. Line Judge Reshore will register a DBA, a doing business as, to Cameron Parish Revitalization Go. Once we have that from the Secretary of State, there will be an independent checking account, and our district attorney will draft a memorandum of understanding as to how the funds will be accepted and how the finances will work. So he'll be working on all of those details, and that's all kind of happening simultaneously with the presentation. We did also act as a fiscal agency after the storm, and just to name a few, for the Oak Grove Hunting Club, the Lacassine Hunting Club, our Attorney General Jeff Landry through his family's foundation, all of those assisted residents throughout the parish, and we were happy to help them, obviously at no cost, because often 501c3s have a fee to do that. We would never do that. And then to the school system, we accepted donations for them from Taylor and Sons Insurance and San Antonio School District and a couple of other individuals. And there were other just standalone individuals that cared enough to make a donation or to pass along their donation through the Lions Club to particular groups of residents. The shrimpers and fishermen were another example of some of those recipients. So what we're going to present today is the seed money just to get the group started. And then, of course, the plan is for the members of the group to solicit funds for additional projects throughout the parish. Obviously, the Cameron Lions Club is very passionate about the long-term recovery of Cameron Parish, and we're going to continue to do our part. We're also supporting the schools. We're donating $5,000 to each school in the parish to do what they wish with it. We know it's been a kind of rough time to raise funds, so we're trying to help fill that gap. And this week and next week, we're going to be awarding $30,000 in scholarships and academic and citizenship awards to juniors and seniors that are residents of Cameron Parish. So at this time, I'd ask our Cameron Lions Club members that are here, and we do have several, Susan, Scott, including our parish president.
Well, I want to thank you and also Tom and Ryan and everybody else who's doing all this work like this to raise this kind of money.
Well,
We appreciate it.
Happy to help.
So
Always.
thank y'all.
So, Lion Scott, if you'll join us in the picture, our parish administrator, Katie Ormentor, secretary, Mary Carroll, all of our Lions Club members that are in the audience, please come forward. Lion Patty Boudreaux is going to, Ashley Casey, is going to, actually, Lion Patty is a former banker, and her husband assisted, Evangeline Bank and Trust was incredible to the Lions Club to get all of our immediate funds taken care of very quickly, and they've also done a lot for residents with banking needs in Cameron Parish. So we also thank Evangeline Bank and Trust as a partner. So if we could have our Lions Club taken, Derek's going to take the picture, Cindy, so you can be in the picture. If we could, please. Yeah, just in front, right there where Patty is. So Patty handled the banking part of it. Yes, if our jurors would like to join us, please do, the jurors. And then Ashley, if we can get you on the other side of it. We're very proud of the fact that, yeah, where's Scott? Yeah, there you go.
Y'all want us to move? Y'all want us to stand behind y'all? Y'all want us to move?
Lion Ashley was elected as the chair of the new committee, so we're very proud of that.
Let's get in like we like each other. It's okay. It's over. Don't hide.
Come back.
Stand up.
All right, please, Jerry, get in there behind them. Can we take a step over just a little? Right there. Daniel, take a step to the right. There we go.
I got a job. I got a job.
There we go.
Oh, got out of the train.
Add one more. All right. 3, 2, 1. And then let me take another 3, 2, 1.
You may have to drop the check just a little bit, Miss Susan. You can't see her.
No, we're good. 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
All right.
Everybody roll and take it on.
Derek's like, don't worry about it. You can't see it.
Leave that check right there. Ask him to go to the bank with a little cash. Need that this weekend.
Let's hope not.
Keep sinking, drinking.
Might be failed.
Thank y'all, Ms. Steph and the Lions Club. All right, review agenda. I don't see anything else, so review agenda, y'all.
No, I got something to say.
Oh, you got
before we
something?
get too far, yeah. Just
All right,
talking.
Mr. Curtis Fountain has something to say.
Before we move on, Mr. Scott, so this long-term recovery group that Ms. Stephanie was referring to, they actually have a name now. They are known as forevermore the Cameron Parish Revitalization Group. They have elected a president and a vice president, so I'd like to introduce them today. Ashley Buller was elected the chairman for this group, and Danny Harden was elected vice chair. If you stand up.
Stand up, Danny.
Stand up, Ashley. Stand up, Ashley.
Oh, thank
These
y'all.
are the brave souls that are going to lead this group this first year. And then the secretary is Maylee Connor. Stand up, Maylee.
Oh, man. All right, congratulations.
She's going to handle all the clerical work, and she is going to work directly with the Lions Club for all of the transactions, accounting for all the treasury and secretarial duties for our group and with the Lions Club.
Good, well, thank y'all then. Right, Ms. Curtis?
Yeah, I just want to say that, people still pushing stuff to the roads. I think we need to get a little stronger on it and explain to people that the trucks have stopped running, and putting it on the right of way is not the thing to do anymore. Like I said, I know in Hackberry we've got several places where they're still bringing stuff to the roads and piling it against the road. So we need to try to put a stop to that.
Yes, sir. The debris removal, regular right-of-way debris collection service has been completed. We are no longer picking anything up out of the right-of-way. The only dump sites that are not open right now, that were open prior to Hurricane Laura, is the Cameron dump and the Grand Chenier dump. So every community should have a dump site they can haul their debris to. So we encourage everyone to go to our website if they don't know the hours, but every dump site is operating to its original operating hours pre-Hurricane Laura. They are collecting debris, whatever you bring now, they will accept. Except for tires, where are you accepting tires, Emily?
The only place is not is Creole.
Creole, so do not bring tires to Creole, please.
I'm sorry.
And Big Lake. Bring tires to Sweet Lake. Anything else they will accept. Now, we are moving into our private property debris removal program. So we kind of use the acronym PPDR. So anytime you hear anyone say PPDR, they're referring to private property debris removal. Danny's office, the OEP office, has launched their website about 2 weeks ago. We've been doing some advertisement in the papers and on all of our social media platforms. You can go to their website. It is ppdr.cameronpj.org. You go to that website and you can complete an online application to just to see if you qualify for any of this. This does not guarantee that you will have an eligible activity. We will vet all of the applications, but that's the start. Go to that website, ppdr.cameronpj.org. If you do not have internet or if you're just not tech savvy, call his office and ask for Casey Haney. She's the point of contact for this program. She will schedule an appointment with you, and we will go to you in your community at one of our public police jury buildings and help you complete the application using our computer and our internet. So again, her name's Casey, C-A-S-I-E, Haney, and her number is 775-7048. You can also reach her at OSEP@CameronPJ.org. That's OHSEP@CameronPJ.org.
Can you put that information out on the Grand Lake Information Station?
Yes, sir.
It needs to be put out all across the parish.
We had 53 applicants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the traditional PPDR program that a lot of you remember from Rita and I. A lot of that was just house demo only. We are opening up to accept tree, like stump removals, if it's eligible activity. Traditionally, if it's more than 50% of exposed roots, then it could qualify. It's also if you just have scattered debris that you had no means of cleaning up, you didn't have insurance. If it's a lot of debris just scattered throughout your yard, we're trying to get that accepted as an eligible activity. So what Danny's staff's doing, they're working directly with the debris monitoring firm. They're known as Roston. They're the ones that were doing the monitoring for the right-of-way program. They go through, they vet the applications. They're going to go on site, meet with the landowner if they need to, document the damages, photograph it, whatever that needs to be done, and they're going to start compiling an application to be submitted to FEMA. So this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. You're looking at 2 to 3 months down the road. As a jury, once we accept and close the application period, we vet the projects that we're going to submit, then we'll come to you and ask for you authority to advertise to procure a contractor to go in and actually go collect all of this. So we're not going to be using series for that. We'll do a whole new round of advertising and procurement just for the PPDR.
Okay, also I'd like to talk about, I know that FEMA has decided that they would move the camper trailers into Cameron Parish. Yes, where do we stand on that? I know I have several of them in Hackberry, or a couple of them in Hackberry for sure.
Danny,
yeah, the only thing I want to say about FEMA, I'll keep it short, that to get housing for our parish is very challenging, frustrating, exhausting, but it is happening. But we've tried to, they denied us the travel trailers in the flood zone 14 weeks ago, I think it was. And there's been a lot of hours and meetings, elected officials. We finally had our senators get involved, go to Washington, and then the governor's office jumped in. So as of last week, they'll allow it with some restrictions, which is doable. One, they have to comply to the local ordinances, and that's easy because we don't have that for the travel trailers. Two, if they accept it, they have to have a plan of what they're gonna build. You just can't say, I want a trailer on my property. You have to have a plan, a concrete plan of what you're gonna do. Third, you have to, once you notify that you are accepted, qualified for a travel trailer, you have 30 days to make sure you have power and water on this property. And we provide the script for FEMA to tell the people to get with the permit office if they need help with getting power and water. Fourth, they have to agree if there's a mandatory evacuation call in our parish that they have to evacuate. And they signed an agreement with us, which Katie got it off and the permits got ready.
But
that's really good.
But
what?
They don't have to bring the trailer out with them.
No, that's the bit. They just worried about the people. They don't really care about the trailer. Because I think what happened, they got stung after Harvey. They allowed travel trailer flood zone, and people got trapped and injured, and so it was frowned upon putting in the flood zone. But anyway, and there was one more. There was 5 different things. It was easy fixes.
Danny, I got a question. Are they gonna leave the, on those travel trailers, I hope they're gonna leave the tires and everything on, even though they might strap them down? That way, in case a storm comes, if the people wanna grab them and.
Well, they're not gonna be able to move them. But they can't move them. Yeah, they're gonna be anchored down. When we first presented it, we said the parish would take responsibility.
Yeah.
Who's gonna move them? They're not requiring them to move the trailer. They just want to make sure the people get out. That's all they're worried about. They could care less if it gets tore up. I mean, they're not worried.
Yeah,
about
but we care.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna be anchored though. I mean, but you're not gonna be able to move it.
They leave the tires on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Cut the cables
I can't
and grab
condone it.
on,
I'm just
take
saying they're not allowed. That's the whole reason they don't want to be mobile. You know, some people need a travel trailer because there are land restrictions. They need room to build a house. A mobile home's too big, so this is a means of them to live in.
Well, I understand
while
that,
they
but
repair
it's-
and rebuild.
It's just waste.
It just seems to me that
They'd be glad
they
somebody took
should
it out.
probably make some, or we should, somebody should make some plans on removing those things from the.
We did
because-
have a plan and they didn't accept it.
Yeah, we only rocked the boat. They finally allowed us to have.
Yeah,
it.
it's a long
Let's not rock the
time.
boat too
So,
much.
I mean, we did, but anything they threw at us, we had a solution for it. And they don't want us moving it. They want to anchor down, leave it down, get the people out. That's their thing. But, you know, sometimes people pull stuff out.
Danny, how many? It's about 70 people.
7, and that was just of last week. They still don't get, I don't know who, they keep saying privacy, but about 70 people that were still interested in having a travel trailer on their property. We have some in Shandy Acres. Now, here's the thing, you know, it started off, they interviewed 668 people. Make a long story short, they're down to about 250 people that still need housing. As no more group sites, talk about group sites, because what could be filled is A-Bears, Shandy Acres, and travel trailers, because the travel trailers is gonna fill in the void until we got 70. There's actually 77 that was still wanted. So as of last week, they're gonna contact everybody, see if they still want them, so forth. And you have to go back, the ones that were denied a mobile home, I told them revisit, now that if they couldn't have a mobile home, now they can have a travel trailer. So, it's gonna be easy to fix if they get them, and it's supposed to be quick. They'll have 30 days to get everything set up, but FEMA says 2 weeks to haul them, install them, and have the travel trailers on the property.
What's the length of time they gonna have these FEMA trailers?
It's 18 months from the time of the
February 28th.
yeah.
That's the
So,
first
and when
one.
that time comes, LN, people have the option to purchase the travel trailers or the mobile homes. You know, only if it's on private property. Ones that are in commercial parks will not have the option to buy these. The park owner will.
So if they haul a,
Now, there's a possibility they could do an extension at the end of 18 months if there's still a greater need, because things are not moving fast. There's a shortage of material to rebuild and repair. And there's a good possibility they can extend the stay on this one disaster.
Well, what's that? That don't make good sense to me.
What?
If they're in a park, and the park owner and the people that are in them wants to buy the trailer, and they willing to pay the fee to be in that park, why shouldn't they get opportunity? The people get opportunity to buy.
should be.
No, let the park owner buy them and sell them to the person right there. You know, I don't know. If you dig more in FEMA, you see a lot of stuff don't make sense. I'm just
I mean, if it's on
there's
your
a lot of
property, you gotta
contradiction
buy
that
it,
they
but
change the rules daily. It's like Mike and Royal, good luck, save the alcohol usage till once you get the money, because y'all works ahead of y'all, it really is. Because they change all the time, and they can put it in writing, and they don't back up what they put in writing. You gotta come back, and it's a constant work. You really gotta work at it. And don't wanna bash them, but there's a lot of moving parts to get this going. And we find a lot of hiccups here, a lot of hiccups there, and we go forward and we go back, so it's very frustrating. And we helping our people. It wouldn't be, I know now, if we didn't get involved, we probably wouldn't even have 20 FEMA homes down here. Because that's the day, every day I have 10 to 12 that I have to rebut, argue with, and we winning, but it's just burning up time. And
Thank you and your staff for doing all that.
The permit office, Katie, and my team, that's every day, even on weekends, you know. I try to help them out because a lot of people, denial, I hate that word denial, just say you're ineligible. But what I like with a lot of these guys, they don't have compassion for our people. I just said, even though if you don't have the right answer, but if you show compassion, they will take the ineligible a lot better. So that seems to be going well because that cuts down a lot of calls. But we're working at it all the time and try to get it going. And
so good, then we get the word out, then you can have.
That's the way we should operate.
Yes, but
and
they from all over the country. Huh?
And try to force anybody that's working with us to show that too. You know, like FEMA. I know your hands are tied, but.
Yeah, but like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. And then it's not just FEMA. FEMA has a lot of their work contracted out.
Yeah, I know.
So there's not FEMA employees.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that they're not decision makers and they're saying the wrong thing. They're sending out the wrong message, and it's really a mess. But we're still moving forward. We're not at a standstill. We have a meeting once a week with all the bosses just to see where we at. And from my last meeting Thursday, today's Tuesday, we didn't move too much from last Thursday. So I got a lot to say coming Thursday. But anyway.
Well, like Scott says, we do appreciate FEMA. We really do. And
yeah.
it's difficult because we do have some contradictions from contractors and FEMA. They're not, I don't think they're gelling very well, but we do appreciate them.
They mean a lot to some people. Not everybody's fortunate. They depend on government assistance. Housing is just too slow for me. When I'm watching the neighboring parishes getting housing quicker than they are, that's really frustrating. But we have Cameron residents that are renting in Calcasieu. They found places for them. They didn't want to wait. So, like I said, a lot of directions. I helped some of the people on that side, got them a place. That's just case by case. And there's the ones we know about. A lot of people don't. We've helped a lot of people that don't even know we're helping. Because they give me a list and they tell me they're going to deny, so we start working on it. I try to minimize the parties involved and cut down the phone calls. But as long as we get the acceptance, that's what we're looking for.
Well, you got good assistance.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
You got good help.
Well, yeah. Why you do that?
You better say yeah.
I don't have to say it, didn't I? No, it's a lot. They got a lot on their plate too. There's PPDR, and then that's coming up. So we have a lot. Anything on housing, because we could talk about it for a long time.
No, I just want to know where we was on the campers moving into Hackberry, not just Hackberry, but whole parish.
Yeah, and we did get the approval, and they're working on the acceptance process now.
Good deal.
And hopefully it's quick. But then we run into other issues with even with some of the waterworks, or they bog down, and and inspections and so forth. So it's coming. We're still moving.
Well, as far as the staff-wise, I want to thank y'all very much for what y'all have done, especially the permitting department, your department, well, all the departments, every one of them. Emily, Shane, because y'all been backed up to the wall for a long time, and I know y'all, it's frustrating for y'all, but we do appreciate what you do. So thank you.
And Sonny, thank you for the silence.
Being quiet, maybe you'll be quiet.
Not
that serious.
I don't have a presentation, but let's talk about a topic. Okay, this week is National Hurricane Preparedness Week. So,
Are you prepared, Danny?
That's a topic, but, I mean, the forecast is a forecast, but, you know, it only takes one to be an active season. Of course, our case is 3. So, everybody really has a plan, but it's really, they're gonna probably have to tweak their plan from last year, because people are still rebuilding, repairing. The structures they staying in now is not as strong as the homes before, so they have to really think about when to evacuate. If you was in a nice home and you live in a camper, you might have to shag your dag early, you know. So people need to look at it in evacuations, your location where you need to go, you really need to look at that. Also with the insurance policies, really sit down with your agent and really discuss what's in that policy. But last year, they said this is gonna probably be the same type of season. Like I said, this is a forecast, but for the Gulf Coast to get a major landfall, it's usually on average of 35% chance. But this year is 53% chance on a major one. So they can have landfalls on the Gulf Coast. So the percentage are high to get it. I mean, we're already start off this year with a freeze storm, you know, ice storm in 2021. Which we just got, some entities needed some reimbursement money. They got the money from the disaster we had in, when was it, February? I get lost in my dates. So anyway, same thing for businesses, and just make sure you have a plan, because if you wait to the last minute and try to make it by the seat of your pants, you know, you usually cause a lot of trouble. Same thing with businesses. We have to tweak ours up, alternate locations to work out of, and I'm still I don't have all the kinks out worked out yet, because we're still dealing with the stuff from the last storms. But Road and Bridge, we're getting ready to have a meeting soon. I believe we're going to talk about hurricane preparedness with your staff. And so it's all about relocating, which with the COVID-19, the only blessing I saw that was made us more remote ready to conduct business. Because that was all in plan before the hurricane hit. So we worked out all the kinks out in early February. So remotely is the way to go for us. We don't really all have to be in one building. You've seen that we had meetings every day with Zoom, so it will work really well. We beefed up our internet capabilities remotely and phones. So good. Yes. Yeah, our cable went out right here in camera. Right when we went live with the PPDR, internet went down, and our phone's off the internet, so we had to use up a backup internet to keep it going. So it was okay.
You must be on camera communications, huh?
Say again?
You're on camera communications, ain't you?
Yes. What we got?
That's all we got.
Yeah. All right. And Malta, I use FirstNet. Another thing, just to give them credit, did y'all see the digital message board along the highway on 27? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's OEPs now. It was donated by Venture Global. After the storm, we had rented a message board, and they approached me, wanting to know if I'd be interested. Because they're all about safety. Every time there's a little minor accident, they freak out, you know. But they're all about promoting safety. But they said we can use it any way we want to. But if I was willing to put out some traffic messages, safety messages, they would donate this road sign for us, you know, which they did. And it came in damaged. And thanks to Road and Bridge, they repaired it for us to get it on there. So we put it online last week. Yeah. We got it going so we can move it around and
we can access it remotely to change the message.
Yeah.
Good deal. But they're not paying attention to it because it says slow down, they're speeding up.
Well, that's where Ron comes in, right, Ron?
We're writing a lot of tickets. We writing a record amount of tickets. Got a girl just doing that. The DA's office even said, y'all keeping us real busy, and that's good. I got a complimentary text from Stephanie the other day. On her trip down, she's seen 2 traffic stops, 3 cars actually stopped, and I've never seen so many tickets written. But there's a lot of other people coming in. We've got thousands of people construction work-wise. And so just because one gets a ticket, he don't spread that word to 1,000. So I see a line a lot of times in the sheriff's office paying those tickets.
Show them the light, Sheriff. Show them the light.
They got your deputies down pat of what they do, because when they pass one, they go.
Right. We've communicated some of that. Hey, he's leaving with a bad attitude, and the next one sets up. We've had instances where he gets 2 tickets.
Yeah, they're waiting down the road. I see them waiting down the road.
I go come down here every morning and leave every evening, and I get passed up, and they running at least 80 miles an hour to get one car ahead.
We see it every
Did that to me this morning.
You good, Danny boy?
That's
or-
about it, yeah. Something else.
Thank y'all
I just want
for
to
it.
touch base on that.
Thank you, Danny and Ashley.
And Casey back in, we go back in.
Casey too, yeah.
Yeah, I think her today, she cooked.
Does anybody else have anything, or before we review the agenda, or?
No. I just wondered if
Gotta
Katie,
go.
if they had.
I think Katie's got one.
Administrative had some reports to give us maybe.
Or Emily, or Katie, or?
Actually, Wendy Harrington's gonna give you guys an update on our demo package bid status and new construction status. We're gonna ask you to do an add-on today to do both. So Wendy, if you wanna go ahead and give them your update. We're ready to go ahead and bid out a few for demo and a few for bid packets for repairs or reconstruction.
I didn't think Danny was ever gonna stop talking. Okay, good morning. I am here this morning requesting permission to advertise for 3 locations this next week, the 20th. They'll advertise for 3 weeks. Johnson Bayou Library, Grand Chenier Library, and Grand Lake Library for repairs. And then we have demo package for 8 locations. The Creole Fire Station, not the garage, but the fire station itself. The OEP Pavilion is on this list due to the fact that the structure is not, the wind deemed it a total loss.
It's not
And-
stable.
Sir?
It's not stable.
It's not stable, but the concrete is gonna get to stay, and we're gonna put something back. Katie had a conversation also with mosquito control, and they'd like to move their chemicals and stuff up there and have an enclosed area in that same location, so we're gonna try to work something out together with that. Oak Grove Fire Station, the new guidelines for fire stations are a restroom, like a mop sink type deal, and upgraded exhaust heating. So Oak Grove is still standing, but it's not in good condition at all. So we are going to have to do some moving around in order to rebuild that back in the appropriate way. So we want to take it down. Big pasture's already on the ground, but we have to take it out. We also need to make room for the new the truck that they had there. They kind of did some renovations themselves on the inside to make room for their truck, so we want to put their stuff back the way it was supposed to be. We already talked about Grand Lake Fire Station last month and the Fireman's Center, but they are included on this demo package. Ridgecrest Substation, which is Cameron's substation, it's no longer going to be in use, so we are going to tear it down. And the Creole Rec, there's some things over there that we're taking out the pool and taking out the north baseball field, and then the poles at the south baseball field. I got a few requests today to make sure that those come out too, because they're not stable. And the Camille Fire Station is staying, but the combination fire station is going to go back close to the Grand Lake Rec. I'm sorry, Cameron Rec.
Cameron Rec, yeah, it's gonna be out there.
And it's the combination of the Ridgecrest and the Camille Station. So next week, we will put the demo out for the 8 locations and the 3 new repair locations, the libraries. And then the next round after that will be the multipurpose center, Murier Fire Station, Grand Chenier Fire Station. There's multiple things that have been going on that are smaller packages, like Hackberry's Waterworks we already put their filtration system out to bid because it was not stable. It had some real damage to the legs that was holding it up, so had those broken, Hackberry would have been having a lot of issues with their water system, if any water. So we put that out for bid really as soon as we could to get that fixed. It's done, stable, and the job's complete. Cameron Rec has a new roof. All the water wells for every water station or district all their wells have been repaired, and their waste stations have been repaired for those that have it. The only one we're still working on is Holly Beach water tower. So it's all moving. It's just some stuff there's been a lot of documentation which was required by FEMA that our architects have been working themselves stupid and jumping through hoops to make sure that we have all that documentation so that we can get our money back if we need FEMA funding for these locations. So that's been a little bit of the holdup, but it's all coming together.
Are you in charge of the maintenance bonds too?
Which one? Well,
For
the relocate, like fixing it, the repairs?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Rebuild.
We already had a bid out for tearing down the one in Grand Lake. Is that the one you're asking me about?
Yeah.
It's down. And we're waiting for them to start.
It's down.
Oh, it's down.
Yeah,
She just said down. I hadn't driven by there this week.
So, I mean, have y'all decided on what y'all put back?
Well, there are a couple of things that we're working through to get that decided, but yes, I mean, it's in the works.
Okay.
Definitely. Definitely.
What size are you going back with?
That has not been decided yet. The concrete did come out because the sheriff's department's not gonna be using it anymore, so we tore out that. We're looking at putting the restrooms inside of it versus leaving those things on the outside. There's just some things we're working out as far as logistics so that we make sure we get back exactly what we need.
Thank you.
Sounds
Yes,
good.
sir.
I got one question that kind of goes along with this. I'm just
Yes.
wondering about our insurance monies, FEMA monies. Have we been getting those city entities yet, or have we been getting?
Are you
any of that
asking
money?
me about the rec?
Yeah.
Okay. So Johnson Bayou Rec is gonna end up getting over $1 million, a little bit over $1 million back for their rec system. So that is their community center and their recreation district. That will pay for all of that. Matter of fact, our wind insurance actually covered the little splash pad in Holly Beach.
You know, my question was, have we gotten into that money yet?
We
Because
have.
We're still waiting to start the rebuild.
The majority, we have the 500,000, and we are waiting for some additional funding, but the money, Heather knows how much they're gonna get back. In March, when we had the revisit from Cedric, which is the wind adjusters, I had them look at several locations, one of them being Johnson Bayou Rec, as well as Hackberry's Rec, and a couple of other locations throughout the parish. And we were gonna cut them a check in March, at the end of March, but when they came back, they found some additional issues, the wind did, and they wanted to add that to the claim. So that's what I'm waiting on, is for that additional
And
information.
the reason I'm asking that question, we were having a discussion on the fence, and the funds weren't there. We have them, they're coming, or we have them here, and I just wondered if it had been transmitted to the entities
The
themselves.
fencing that is in question does not belong to the rec. So we'll talk about that.
That's a long deal. I'm talking about the funding for them to move forward.
I talked to Heather 2 days ago, and she told me that they do not need they are not strapped for funds at this point in time. She would like for us to cut her one check and be done with it. So I explained to her, I also talked to 2 of her board members and explained to them what was going on and why we had not released the funds to them yet. And I don't want anyone to have to give us money back, like we've overpaid them. I want to make sure they get the funding that they're supposed to have, and then we don't have to go chase them down to get something back.
Okay.
And if they got too much, they can send it to Grand Lake.
Yes, sir. That is noted on the bottom of the page.
Which won't happen.
I just don't want us to, in the past, we've given funding and we've had, we just want to make sure we don't have to do that. We don't have to go find it from somebody else.
Sounds good. Y'all good?
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Wendy.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shane and Ms. Emily, would y'all want to give us an update on the ditch cleaning and, if y'all don't mind, where we at and?
Okay. The Big Lake crew has been cleaning on the islands, and we have a crew hired that's cleaning off Parish Line Road. They've been cleaning, by Friday it'll be 15 days that they've been cleaning. They got a lot done. The Sweet Lake crew is picking up some more concrete that was on the state highway, and we're just storing that right now for different projects that we're gonna need. Cameron and Greshner crew Cameron and Creo crew has been cleaning on Roper Beach this week. We're trying to get the ditches cleaned and get some of the roads cleaned up. They're gonna be bringing the dumpsters back sometime this week and put by the pavilion. The Greshnier crew has finished putting the shoulders back on Wilshire Road, and they're gonna start on approaches on Marmotall River Road, this, Pumpkin Ridge, not Marmotall, Pumpkin Ridge Road, this week also. Shane talked to the people doing the bridge on Wilshire Road, they poured the slab last week, and I think they're waiting on, the blacktop crew to come in, and then they're gonna put the guardrails, right? And then they have to put the guardrails back on that. We are in the process of getting a quote to put back the patch, the blacktop on Trosclair Road, the repair at the park. They're supposed to actually be here tomorrow and try to work us up a quote on that.
On Front Ridge, yes, because we had a meeting with our plant manager yesterday, and it was talked about the roads, how bad that Front Ridge Road is, and dangerous. I see Brian back there, Mr. Brian, and all the people that's working at the plant with Kiewit and TIC and everyone that's, a lot of people travel that, it's bad. I mean, we need to get it blacktop as we fix it again.
Yes, sir. We were trying to do it in-house, but our big tank that had gotten hit, they're gonna show up. They were supposed to come yesterday and they couldn't make it down. They gotta change the heat strips and the gauge. So it would be a little bit longer if there were, for us to continue to wait to patch it. So we just figured we'd go out and try to get a quote on it.
Good, thank y'all then.
The fences at the ball field and the big pasture. I see they put the backstop. Was that crew tasked to fix the fences too?
No, we just prioritized the backstop so they could be in place for this season only. Fencing the entire field, we want to make some improvements out there first. It wasn't really draining too well, it was holding water. And so on the off season, we're gonna haul some dirt in and get some drainage and get it shaped up to where it'll drain better, and then put the fence around it.
I just want to make sure we make it safe. I see
Yes.
some of the fences hanging down and whatever, not the backstop.
You want us to
fence.
remove the damaged
Well, I
fence?
just want to make sure it's safe. When we give them a place to play, the kids a place to play, we would just make sure it's safe. What's hanging loose ain't gonna hurt somebody.
Okay, we'll go take a look at it.
Just,
if there's any pieces that.
road foremen can go out there and
Yeah.
something look like it could hurt somebody, get it out of there.
Right, but we're not making any permanent improvements to any of our ball fields for this season, because if we do with the rain and everything, if we haul in dirt, then it'll be a mud hole and they won't have practice, so we're
There you
gonna
go.
plan to do that in the off
That's
season.
good, sounds good. Anybody else? Yeah, everybody, your agenda's pretty short today.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
add-ons,
I got a couple
Mr.
questions.
President.
Oh, you got some?
We'll have add-ons. I have an appointment for Ambulance District 2, Gwen Constant resigned. We're gonna appoint Kathleen Simon. Authority to advertise to demo 8 locations: Creel Fire Station, OEP Pavilion, Oak Grove Fire Station, Big Pasture Fire Station, Grand Lake Fire Station, and Fireman Center, Ridgecrest Fire Station, and Creo Rec. Also authority to repair Grand Lake, Granchenier, and Johnson Bayou libraries, and a resolution of support on the House bill referencing the reimbursements of interest payments from FEMA. I'm not sure the House bill number, I'm gonna have to look it up.
Do we need a resolution? Do we need to
How
make
about for
2
Jeff
of them?
Davis Electric?
That's the
That's,
one.
that's the one there, okay.
Do we need to make 2? I thought there was a bill in the Senate, in
Or
Washington.
Yeah, it's a
about
bill,
FEMA.
I have to find out, I
You gonna do
have
it
to
in one?
find the bill.
Okay.
Okay, son, you got something?
Yeah, the only question I got, did we find out anything about the Delphin permit?
So, this permit application is the same previously permitted activity from, 2015.
Okay.
So, the work hasn't began, and they've already applied for one extension, which you're only granted one extension from the state. So they have to reapply to get a reissuance.
Yeah, have y'all been in touch with them?
Yes, I talked to them this morning.
Okay, good, because they had called, that's the only reason I brought it up.
And, yeah, no change to the original scope that was previously permitted, so that was my main question. It wasn't in the permit application, but I did pose the question to them, and there's no revisions from the original application, so.
Okay. And the only other question I got, I guess Emily be used, is there any change in that state highway maintenance agreement?
No, sir, it's the same.
Okay, I'm good, Mr. President.
The only other thing, I see Mr. Bryan's back in here. Mr. Bryan, thank y'all for Kiewit for contributing to the Cameron Parish revitalization group for y'all's money. Appreciate it. Anybody else has anything? Well, meeting's adjourned.